we have created this web scraper here that scrapes all the quotes from our pages, but there's one major flaw from what you've seen from the last video and how this last part here was done. So the major flaw that we have here is that whenever we are opening the CSV file, when I write this, we open the CSV file here, during in every iteration it basically rewrites. This is the one thing that like I mentioned, this was a bit inefficient, but during the first iteration it's going to get all the quotes, but because we're using a write method here, it basically goes ahead and uh, overrides everything during the next iteration. And I had mentioned this on how we can append it. I don't know why I didn't do that, but anyway, we can use an append like that, and let's see how what happens with this one when you change the format there to append. When you run our code, so it's going to take some time here, and then it should give us this statement of done that we have in line 37. And 1 2 3, okay, why, okay, done. So if you go to our quotes.csv here, you can see now we have all the quotes from the 5 pages, and this is the main thing that was missing. It was a very minor issue that anyway, so you can be able to see all the quotes here, and now that means that you can actually go ahead and even extend to the number of pages from 5 to any other value that you want. So this should actually be from I in range 1 to pages, because page is the one that defines the number of pages that you want it to go all the way to. So let's try maybe 10 pages. I'm not sure that it reaches 10 pages, but let's just try it. So if we try 10 and we run, they should take some time to run as well. But what you've seen here is the simple fix. Again, if you're seeing this video for the first time and you haven't seen the previous one, please check out the previous video on the introduction to web scraping that we did. It explains everything from scratch all the way to advanced. So now if you come to quotes.csv, okay, it looks like we have more than 10 pages. So you can see we have all the quotes that we have here that are there in our CSV file, and we are appending them every time. So, but again, there are many ways that you can also go ahead and basically make this submission a little bit better. So, for example, we've been able to append or rather remove the aspect of writing that was happening before, but you need to rewrite a number of things that are happening here and try to see a number of issues that we need to change. So let's start with the first thing. When you open our CSV, uh, let's say before, where is okay, this is our CSV here, and we are opening it before this loop, of course, that we're doing here. Then we're using pages. So we're using all the pages that we're getting on this side here to control how many pages that we want to scrape, right? So there's a way that you can try and make this a little bit better. So first of all, we have headers in our function. The main thing that needs to go there, for example, this base URL that we're using, again, we're just trying to make it a little bit better. So I'll remove this base URL from here and I'll have it out here. So, and I'll just call it base URL because this is the original URL that you're basically using. So base underscore URL should be able to fix that for us. Then the next step that I want us to do is I want us to avoid this outer loop. This outer loop is, like I mentioned, we had too many loops that are making things a little bit inefficient. So we're going to remove this loop, and I'm going to move everything. So I'm going to just do shift tab to just move them one tab behind. Then once we do that, we have our writer here. So I'm going to pass everything else inside. So I'll do this. So fetch and pass. I'll just remove everything out here, and I'm going to have all that inside our. We have our with open. Then we have the for loop down here. This for loop for quotes should be able to should you maintain it. Okay, let me actually do this. So we can have another for loop in here. So we'll just say, for example, the for I in range that we are doing, because we still need it actually for I in range. Then the first is going to be page one. Then the number of pages are going to increase. So let's just say, for example, pages plus one. What this is going to do, because of how the for I in range works, basically it's going to include the last page that we specify there. Then inside there, we're going to have what I just copy remove from the other side. What am I doing? Okay, use tab. Okay, awesome. So we have all this in here, and everything here should actually be inside of this loop. Okay, let's do that. So we still maintain two for loops, which anyway, let's just work around this. So for this URL, we're getting our URL here, and this is where I want us to change a few things in terms of the formatting here. So I'll go ahead and I'm going to create a URL variable, and here we're going to take the base URL, then just format it. So just say base URL dot format, then we pass in I in there because we are still inside of the loop. So that we're able to format our URL. Then we send our request, we add the headers obviously, and we have all this here. So you can actually add a simple check at this point. For example, you can add a simple check just in case the website someone is trying to scrape is, or rather the page itself is not there. You can be able to have an if statement. I'm actually not going to add this just to reduce the amount of work I need to do on this file. So, but you can add an if statement to check if the request that was sent here was successful, right? Again, it's good practice to do that, but I'm going to ignore it for now. Then we're doing the parsing, we're checking to get all the divs and all the quotes at this point. Then we're extracting the information from each row with everything that we have here. And I actually think this should be it. So we have our tags here. Then we should probably join our tag. Let me see how our tags look like. So our tags are still in a list. So we need to just change this. I need to have these tags in, they need to be in, what is it called? They need to be in a single string. So we need to join the tags in a single string. And the method that you've already thought of that you can use here is called the .join method. You can just say tags underscore str, then we just have a comma there and a .join method, then you have tags. So that way we're able to eliminate the entire aspect of lists. Then instead of tags here, we just say actually tags underscore str for string. That should be able to do it for us. So those are actually the only things that we needed to add to our application to make it a little bit better. The first change that we made of just adding append, that should have been enough. I just thought I should reorder a few things that we've done here. So we've changed a few things here. We've changed the CSV in terms of how we open it. So we're opening it with append. Where is it? With open here, we're using append at this point. But now this is where this actually is just something that I should change right now, because we had append earlier when with open was inside of a for loop. So that sort of made sense at that point because we were, what is it called? It made sense at that point because at every iteration we were writing to the file. But because we are opening the file first, this is what I want you to notice. There's a flaw in our file here. And this is a flaw that probably one of us already noted. At some point, the quotes are repeated because we are appended. I want you to notice the first one here from Dr. Seuss. The more you read all that, I believe that quote is repeated somewhere here. You see here, the entire repetition is from this point, Dr. Seuss, everything. And I don't know how many iterations we did, but it's also here as well. So every time I was running the code, because we used append, it was basically, it wasn't getting rid of the previous information that was there. It was just adding on top of it, even if it is a duplicate. So to get rid of those duplicates, we just have use the open it in write mode. But now we don't have the risk that we had earlier on of having to append on everything, or rather at every iteration we need to write into the file, because we're writing into the file, then the iterations are happening after that. So I believe all this, the logic at this point makes sense here. And we've seen the other change that we made is on line 20 on adding pages. And you've seen why we did this, because for I in range, it usually doesn't include the last index. So we are having the +1 so that it includes, in this case, index 10 or the file on page 10. And that is basically it. So if you find out that you can extend this further, please, by all means, feel free to extend it as well and apply the same technique in menu. Okay, the other thing I actually need to get rid of is this one here. We don't need this I because we're using the format at this point down here. So, okay, so we have base URL saying f string invite. Oh, I need to get rid of the f as well. Okay, so once we get rid of the f, I should have everything. Yeah, awesome. So we're doing this so that the dot format. So the dot format is what we were using before f strings were implemented in Python, but this works perfectly like this when you do it like this. You can also just use the f string as earlier before, and everything will just work perfectly for you. So if you run our code now, it's going to overwrite everything that was here and give us new information. So once it is done, we can just check. No risk of repetition again. Awesome, it's done. And when you come here, now we have the quotes from all the 10 pages, but there's no repetition at this point or duplication in that case. So with these adjustments, your file is basically accurate and all the quotes are already there across every page that you stated for the 10 pages, rather than the overwriting that was happening earlier. So I hope you enjoyed this, and cheers. I'll see you on the next one.